Well, here I am with my good friend Doug Dickey, and just right before the call, we were reminiscing. So I was new in Niken, and I remember a Kirby salesman came by, Michael Anthony. We still remember that name. And it was the summer of 1992, and flipped it. He got all excited about our business, and he says, "Oh, there's a really great guy with an awesome personality. Let's go see him." And so we got in the car together and came over and knocked on the door and saw you in Finley. And that's the first time I saw you. So let's see, what's that? 30 something years ago. Anyway, 33,
Yeah, I
30.
think June of 92.
Yeah. So that's a while ago. We've changed. We've gotten better.
Yeah. And so interesting thing added to that, I had joined Amway 6 weeks earlier and with Monty Ladau, watching his circles on the board, and then approached a friend of mine named Jason Kilmer, and he signed up, and then Michael Anthony came over to sell them a Kirby and met them, sold them a Kirby, and then he met you, and then it came back the other way. So it's hilarious. There was several conversions into network marketing in that 6 week period of time.
We should go see Monty Ladau and see what he's doing. So
He's a wonderful guy.
he really is. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it goes a long ways back. At the time when I had first gotten in, I thought, I wish I had already known about the power of network marketing, the power of, which is really just face-to-face marketing. It's just telling people that you already know or that you've just met about something. It's word of mouth. And I had wished that, oh, I wish I was already trained and had learned this to take advantage of this opportunity while it was young, because it took several years for me to grow and become decent at it, and the momentum of the company was walking away from me during that time frame. And looking at Avini, it's absolutely incredible because we're still ahead of the momentum coming. So people just getting in have time to develop their skills to take advantage of the momentum that's coming. So that's what's nice about being in on the ground floor.
Oh,
Just as a side note.
it's awesome. But if you've had some training before, and that's what's happened to me, I've just been doing this forever.
Right.
April this month is our 49th anniversary in network marketing, and
Yeah.
starting to figure it out now. And there's been a couple of times where I just thought, oh my goodness, I am at the right place at the right time, and I know how to drive already. And here's my
That's,
vehicle.
yeah, you
And
know how to
this is
race.
it. Really, this is it. And of all the companies. I've given my heart to 8 companies over those years, and just everything about this is my favorite. When you think most fundamentally is the product, the power of what it can do for people, the impact you can have. And I think that's what it all really comes down to it. When you really think about what do you want to do with your life, I think all of us would agree, well, I want to make a difference. I want to have an impact, make the world better because I was here. And the thing I love about Avini right now is you can multiply that by having something to get people that can completely change their life, and then use that power of leverage where you can actually move the whole world. I love that idea. The first time I heard this in school were Archimedes and turning about tools and give me a lever big enough and a fulcrum in which to place it, I can move the world. And Avini is that tool. It's a lever where you or I can affect the lives of thousands of people in the course of just a very short time because of that multiplying effect of the lever. And so we've got amazing, my favorite all-time products, and we've got the best comp plan. And then we have some really competent and trustworthy people leading the ship. All the times before was either they were competent but not trustworthy, or the other way around, or perhaps neither. This is just
Sometimes
the
both.
planets are aligned right now, and we've got all of these products that have already tested themselves in the marketplace. The Cell Defender, my all-time favorite product I've ever used. It's already gone around the world. It's been around 20 years. But hey, I'm interviewing you. So, Doug, tell us your story because we've been acquainted over the years and seen each other do different things. And there was a wonderful golden moment. Let's just start at the very beginning because some people probably have not heard your story, but you've been involved in growing things and killing things and all sorts of things like little bugs, pesticides. So,
Yeah.
tell us what's going on.
Yeah. Just to touch on the finalizing your last point, the stars really don't align that often where you get something that has everything. And we have worked really, really hard to put all of that together with Avini. So I feel incredibly grateful that we have everything aligned to be an incredible, long-term, life-changing, testimonial-driven, powerful experience. It's more than a company. This saying that at first you get into Avini, and when you've changed somebody's life, Avini gets into you. And I think that's what I'm so grateful for with this company is that Avini's in so many people, they can't get away from it if they want because it's changed who they are. That's a powerful thing. Yeah, my story, of course, at the time that I met you, I think I was a technician out at the Hanford area at a company, and I was just not happy. I got to tell you, I'd worked night and day pouring my soul into this machine called a cryo cooler that would make cold on one end of it. They'd attach electronics to it. Carrier Corporation had funded it for about $15 million, and I was a lead tech on it. And I worked night and day making this thing work. We had this event where Carrier Corporation officials came to look at this machine and to verify that it was working and stuff. And they were so impressed with it. And the next day, they canceled the program. No more money, no more. We're not going to 250, 500-watt cryo coolers and cancel the whole program. And the engineers were like, oh, yeah, this is normal. And then another company will come along in 5 years and pick it up. And I was crushed. I had put every bit of my effort in something and it just, boom, canceled. And they just pick up and engineer the next item. I quit. I could not handle pouring my soul into something that with the swipe of a pen was gone. And so to me, and I went full-time network marketing at that time with Nikan, which really meant I had several other jobs. And I was bricklaying and doing all kinds of different things. But I'd moved to Vancouver right after getting married. And then I stopped to help somebody moving. That I saw these people lifting heavy stuff into an apartment. I thought, I'll just go help. So I pulled over, not knowing anybody in Portland, and I started helping these people. And the guy happened to be a pest control manager who had just moved in. He hired me on the spot. And how much do you want? And I told him what I needed, got a job. And so I started working pest control. And 2 years into it, I was really good at it. It's making a lot of money. 2 years into it, walk into the office. There's a guy named Jim, very, very skinny guy. Pants always fell down. He had to wear a belt. And he's sitting on a little donut. And I made a bad joke about the donut. And he said he had 5.5 feet of his colon cut out that weekend. He had to sit on the donut. So I felt really bad for the joke. But before I could apologize for the joke, next to him, Marshall said, yeah, I had parts of my colon cut out last year. And the guy next to him, yeah, me too. Thinking, oh my gosh, I've found my superpower. I can see a pattern that nobody else can see. I thought it was hilarious that nobody noticed. Okay, hey, wait a second. You guys have all gone and had parts of your colon. There's probably a problem here. And so, anyways, I knew pesticides are bad, right? And they're enzyme inhibitors. And guess what? You need enzymes in the last 5.5 feet of your colon. And so I ended up quitting. I was having all kinds of issues. And then going to the doctor and finding out I wasn't going to go to the doctor. And then a friend of mine told me, hey, you should go see a doctor. And then he gave me another name. And, anyways, had something in my colon too, very small. They wanted to poke it. I said no. And so I ended up doing nutrition, tried that for a few years, felt better, lost weight, Everything that I thought I'd gotten healthy again really wasn't true. And then I found I had something in my colon growing that was much larger, about 8 inches from the exit. And that led me to just making the decision that it's too late, nothing I can do. I'm just going to ignore it. Kept it to myself. I think I only shared with one or two people. And then basically at that point, it's a waiting game. I was building a fertilizer company and doing some other things and trying to be positive, trying everything. From you, I got a lot of ideas and different modalities to try to get better. That's an interesting thing. Most people are looking for something to make their body healthier. Most people are aware that medicine doesn't really offer the best answer. It's like the last answer. It's like when nothing else works, then it's sort of the medical side. And that's not even a good option, I think. If I get hit by a truck, then I'm going to the hospital because I need them to put the bones back together. I need them to keep me alive while they patch everything up. That's really, really good medical choices. Get into chronic care, and I don't see good decision making when it comes to that. People would, if they really thought about it, they would not go forward with it. And so people are looking for alternatives. And I had looked and looked. I just had not found anything that worked. I found one product that I found as an enema worked really well at kind of calming things down. And I used that for about 8 years. That's where I met Tony, a beta, but it never fixed anything. It just kept it from getting worse. So I felt like a benefit there. But then when you told me about the Cell Defender, which at the time had a different name, sold through a different company that Rick was a vendor for, I thought, Zeolite, really? I don't understand how that could make a difference. I don't see how it would connect. And so I thought it has to be one of the other 20 alternative things you're doing because you were throwing the kitchen sink at your issue. So I thought, no, I don't see how clinoptilolite, this mineral, could make a difference. And I know soils pretty well. So especially when it comes to cation exchange, I'm sort of an expert on it. So I thought if I can, if I could see some serious difference, then maybe. And then Dave Chan told me, hey, you got to get on this thing. And we talked about this the other day. If I hadn't owed him so much money and had been 6 months late on payments, I probably would have told him no also, because I kind of had my plan to exit. And so it was the fact that I owed him money and I thought, I'm going to die here in 6 months to a year anyway. So why don't I just join this thing? And then he won't have the nerve to charge me for that, to make me pay up. I'll get another 6 months out of non-payment. He would have been paid with my life insurance policy, so it would have been fine. But anyways, that was hilarious at the time. But yeah, got on the product, nothing the first week. So I tell people when you've used it for 2 weeks, you've gone through 5 bottles, you go, this ain't working. It's working. It's just trying to clean the trash out to get the drain to work, right? And so it's cleaning everything out of the way of the drain so you can get the drain cleared out. That's the first 2, 3 weeks. And if I hadn't had such a profound, I was bleeding rectally, which is never a fun thing. And that went away the third week. So that captured my attention. And then I had a bunch of pimples and stuff come out. I had a skin issue on the top of my head. So these things went away kind of in an order that really wasn't the order that I wanted, but seemed to be the order that my body was needing. And I tell people, I talk to a lot of people each day that when, like specifically, Cell Defender can't fix anything. It doesn't fix anything in the body, has no mechanism, doesn't even interact with the body, doesn't even know you are a body. It's a piece of dirt. It's a alumina silica that has a special nature to grab heavy metals. And all it's grabbing is these heavy metals, these chemicals and toxins. And then everything from that's beneficial to your body is just a reaction. Your body runs off ion exchanges. And so when you have the heavy metals being pulled out of the bloodstream, out of the lymphatic system, into this cage. This ion exchange and calcium and magnesium are lifted up in the bloodstream. This kickstarts all kinds of things to health. Not to mention it's removing the heavy metals, but it's also alkalinizing the bloodstream. It's shuttling calcium and magnesium across the from one place to the other. It's grabbing hydrogen ions, which are essentially reactive in the bloodstream. There's so many downstream events, but the cell defenders is simply grabbing toxins. And then the body's trying to get rid of it as fast as it can. It's like, oh yeah, this stuff's on its way to the kidney, it's going to be peed out, and it takes away that burden from the liver. You mentioned earlier about the profound benefits of the products of Aveni itself. I mean, the products are amazing. They've been out there before, but it's the creation of Aveni, this company that says, okay, the whole purpose of this company is to make these products available. So they're never going away. If whether we grow slow or we grow fast, we are going to be around supplying these products. Really, Rick Deitch's brain and all of these technologies he's invented on display. And Avini's value is we're going to be around forever. You can invest your hard-earned time and effort and money into this cause because we've set Avini right from the beginning as a way to know we're serious, debt-free from the very first month. Now, we could have, I mean, sometimes not being debt-free is a great thing because you bring in money and investment, but we wanted that to be known right up front. We're debt-free. Our purpose is clear. Three simple, I remember somebody in the very beginning going, if you want, I can write a mission statement for you. And I said, you don't like it? He goes, it's pretty plain. Sell product, deliver it, and do it through distributors. I said, that's pretty simple, really easy to keep these three. And these three things, if you do these three things well, because we always said if they would just let us sell the product, if we could just get it, 3, 4 weeks is too long, but if we get it in a week, we could build this thing. And then don't undercut the distributors, go through all these other things they would do. No, we're only through distributors. We'll always be only distributors because we've committed to this as our essence of a company. So people can commit to that. They can say, okay, I'm going to put my next 3, 5, 10 years into building something that's going to change the world. Because I can believe in the CEO, Neil Roth. He has no need for anything else. He did not want to start this. It was out of desperation that he said, okay, fine. And then it was begging Rick and Liz, Rick's wife, to do this thing. And then he asked me, hey, will you help? Will you get the team together? And so Avini really, out of desperation, came together. And then you and Marcy and Paul and so many others that were there to say, hey, we're ready to run. We're going to build this thing. And all of that came together as the stars aligned, so to speak. And we have this solid beginning into momentum, growing company that changes lives. And while you were talking about that earlier, boy, wouldn't that be great if we had both a solid company and an incredible product? And that's what we have. And so for my experience, I have people say, well, of course it worked for you and you had all these issues. I don't have any issues. And if I don't have a testimonial of the product, you don't need a testimonial of the product yourself. I would much rather you don't have the issues, that you're preventing a lot of those issues. What do they say? May you never know what you prevented. I think I would prefer that side. At one time, I was thinking, somebody said, you were meant to be here. And I go, I hope not, because 25 years of suffering, I hope I didn't have to suffer 25 years to get to this point. I hope I wasn't being prepared. I hope that was just a chance thing. But maybe I was. Maybe this was meant to happen this way. I can't think of a better, more perfect time to have a company that sells detoxification products state of the art, one of a kind, exclusive. We are, there's nothing like us out there anywhere. There's other companies that sell zeolite knockoffs, but there's not a company that has a biochemist, 15 clinical studies, the background of what we have. When I found out that Rick had invented all of these fertilizer products, I had no idea. I think we opened before I knew he had all these other products. It was, he was doing his part and Neil was doing his part and I was doing mine. It was absolutely incredible that Rick has the ADX7 in Plus Energy. I take that every day. Incredible product. That technology, if you do some research and you study it back to the 80s when that was invented, that's incredible. How did Rick get it? He's brilliant. And so, anyways, we have the perfect storm of products, technologies, the New Balance product. So many people. I was on the phone yesterday, and day 3 seems to be the magic day for people taking the Balance product. That's a technology. It's insane. And then Rick has put his soul into these products. Everything he can do at his maximum into these products. And we just got to go out and share them. It's just so simple. And by the way, no, there's no cost to the back office. There's no cost to the app. There's no cost to just about anything. Only the products cost. And then we give all kinds of bundle benefits that way. It's really you couldn't make it better if you had written it on a dream list. So, and I know people don't want the customer requirement, but I'm sure that would be crossed off the dream list. But we needed something to antagonize the distributors with. But and now that I'm a distributor, it'd be nice if that was gone.
We need to keep the FTC happy. And
It is. You have to have customers if you're a real business.
yeah, if
So
you're a real business customers, what a concept. And
exactly.
it's not that bad. And it's a way to, I think of it as, if it has to be, it could be strategic philanthropy. So you can
Yeah.
gift somebody something, and that's tax deductible too. But one of the best and time trusted ideas of sales is to sample. And so it's not so bad. Uh,
Yeah.
One of the things I'd like to, reflecting back, why did it take you all of this hard stuff? I think one of the most interesting things that people have thought about for thousands of years of why is the world set up as it is? And one of those things is adversity. And one of the things I've just been so fascinated with as I meet people is some people become bitter, but so many people, that adversity, some of the most horrible things that might happen in getting to know those people, that was a moment in their life where they became better to the point where some of the people I've talked to consistently, it's something like the fact that if somehow the good Lord, I could go back to that moment before the plane crashed or something happened that just really ruined them going forward, that if somehow the Lord said, I'll take you back there and that won't happen and your life will go on. But with that, I'll take away that pain and suffering, but also take away the experience and the relationships you've made and the positive difference you've made in the world. And all of those people, they've just said that actually was a blessing having that. And that wouldn't be in consideration. They would take the pain along with the blessings. And I think there's just this wonderful, beautiful compensation that we get when we have a problem. And it's to the point where every adversity has a seed of equal or greater benefit. I really believe that. And so you are who you are because of that. And you don't have to do that yourself vicariously, or you can borrow someone else's stories. Also gain sympathy and empathy, understanding other people's problems and that. But one of the things along that way, it would have been wonderful if we would have just had, when Wayora blew up, that was my first product I was using. There was no business opportunity, but we were sharing it. Wouldn't it be wonderful if when that contract was broken, that Rick just said, okay, we'll just start our own company. But instead, he wanted to be a vendor. And so I felt this calling when the company Navon came along, and that's you and I went diamond in that company. And it was, to me, a business Camelot for about a year. Beautiful culture, wonderful people. I was seeing a lot of people that not only were they having miracles with the product, but a lot of folks that always wanted a home business, but they'd never been able to make it work. and they were winning in this because of just an amazing compensation plan. And then the owner drove it off into a ditch. And at that point, we were all begging, start your own company. And Rick and Neil would say essentially, no, it's a lot easier to be a vendor than an owner. We'll find someone else. And so we went to another company. But I think that had some really wonderful purpose, not only to stir more inspirational dissatisfaction, but I think we have a wonderful product because of that. So for a lot of years, you've been buddies with a guy that developed this Nano Silver, and you were quite passionate about that, passing that around to everybody, not as a business opportunity, but was through that company that it was demonstrated that could be actually a viable product. Could you tell that story a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, when I got my health back, reluctantly started network marketing again. I'd gotten out of it for a while. And I had a friend, fairly well known, and he makes a Nano Silver. And I learned a lot from him. We would sit down, he would show me kind of in the books the physics behind it and why it worked and why it didn't. So I learned a lot that way. And unfortunately, his product, he had issues with stabilization, which is one of the things that we don't have issues with this one. And so that's that, all that training and learning from him was able to help me find what's important in silver to find the one that we have now. But at the time, we were able to introduce the silver to that company Amplify through one of their distributors, and they all got sick with this thing that happened 3 years ago, and they were having a hard time breathing and stuff. I sent them bottles of silver. They guzzled 8, 10, 12 ounces at a time, and they got better, like in a day. And so their attention was captured. And so then we got the product registered and labeled and ended up selling through that company Amplify, and it took off. I mean, it really, with the correct information and understanding, we were able to create something pretty exciting. And over time, we found some challenges. So he used something called zeta potential, which is sort of a static charge that holds all the little particles away from each other. So that way they're stable. The problem is if you put it in the sunlight for a week, sun will actually agglomerate these particles and they fall out. That's not a good thing. It was very, very effective, but not stable in certain conditions. It was mostly stable, but if it's sitting in a bottle for 3 months, it would be stable. But we were sending it to Minnesota and sending it to North Dakota and New York. And so it'd sit outside in the freezing weather for, I don't know, 10, 12 hours till somebody got home to grab it, and it would all settle out. And so that ran into some issues. We ended up parting ways with that product for Aveni. But it was the lessons that we learned that led us to the silver that I found that we have now, which is absolutely stabilized. You can freeze it into a block of ice and then thaw it, and the silver particles are still attached where they were. So that stabilization, we gave up a little bit of activity, meaning it's not quite as good as the one that can harm you, but it's absolutely safe. And that's what makes our silver amazing is this, and this thing they call membrane bending energy, which I would like to see that 12-year-old scientist that came up with that term in his little bow tie. Membrane bending energy, essentially the size of the particle of silver and the shape give it a vibration. It resonates at a certain vibration. And that vibration is, if you think of your body's own frequency, or your body resonates at a specific frequency, and there's 3 or 4 places, like on a keyboard, you have these octaves, and there's the same sort of tone in every eighth key. Same thing with our body. Well, the size of the particle of silver resonates with our body. So it doesn't interfere with any cellular activity. It doesn't interfere with any probiotic bacteria that are covered in a mucilage of our body. So it protects us, but it goes after anything that's not resonating on our frequency, bad cells, things like that. So the anti-parasitic, the anti-bacterial, the antiviral, all these benefits are because of they resonate at the wrong frequency. And so that's one of the reasons our silver is so amazing. And I noticed you just reminded to take an ounce. I suggest people drink an ounce a week is like the best way. If you have a current issue, drink the whole bottle. I know it's $75. I wish it was only $20, but it is worthwhile. And your body will get rid of the silver. And what's interesting, most people think your body pees out the silver. It doesn't. It leaves through the liver and it goes out through the poo. So that there's very, very important. Imagine all the effectiveness it's having as it goes out through your intestinal tract, shutting down bad things, leaving the good things alone. Really powerful. And anyways, that's about our silver. And thank goodness for the person that shared the silver and the technology with me, because Neil and Rick had looked for silvers in the whole world. They put people to work trying to find a credible silver product that had the right activities. And they gave up after a bunch. They just said, we can't, that it doesn't exist. And I didn't give up. And somebody called me, how I found it, somebody called me and says, hey, have you heard of this company? And I said, no. I said, it's not on any list. I can't Google it or anything. And they said, this company, it doesn't really sell silver, sells preservative water, which happens to have silver in it. And so I called them. They said everything that I wanted to hear. And I'm like, this is BS. Nobody has a product this good. Nobody can make these claims. And then I mentioned it. I sent it on to, not to Neil, but to Rick. And Rick said, this really sounds good. I go, I know, it sounds too good. This has got to be all BS. He says, well, let's talk to him. And then we talked to him and they did some science stuff back and forth, them and Rick. And Rick was like, this is it. So anyways, really, really blessed to have that. And it fits perfectly in with the cell defender, the Zmunity, the fiber, everything in our toolbox to help your body be protected from bad things and also healthy. So that's a wonderful, wonderful story.
One of my favorite stories that I've used for so many years, and it's a fact, is that pretty much every household has an electric drill, and nobody wanted one. They wanted a hole. And so when you buy this, this costs $75. Would you like to buy it? No, what you want to buy is what it does. And 7 years ago, when I was introduced to the early version of this, I wasn't looking to buy rock water. I had a problem. I was desperate.
Right.
And as an alternative, I actually had figured out what I was going to, as a plan B, I was going to go to Reno. And long story short, that was going to cost about $50,000. But I thought, well, it's going to be a good deal because, well, the ultimate vehicle is me. That's where I live. I've spent that much for a car. The ultimate vehicle, I'll invest 50,000, and I was planning to do that versus the standard of care. But wow, what if I could just do it at home? And a few $100 a month, this is just such a neat thing. And so I think in my mind, imagine having a nasty cold. Well, what if magically somebody says, I'll take care of that, or maybe make it not even happen, but it's going to cost you $75. I'd pay $75 not to have a cold, let alone who knows what else it might help with. But that's how I think of it. So if I feel a scratchy throat, my eyes are itchy or something like that, why not just chug some of that? And you never know what you're preventing again. So
Yeah. Well, I know somebody that just went to another country to have some surgery done and ran out of silver and literally flew somebody down there with pockets full of silver to get it, because when you need to have it, you need to have it, and trying to stop infection and things like that. But amazing products. By the way, you're looking younger and younger. Every time I see you, you look better and better.
must be my
Yeah,
camera here.
your skin is looking well. So that's
Hey,
the wonderful thing. Rick makes this comment about helping somebody's cholesterol. Hey, Dave, your cholesterol looks great today. Or a lot of things that you can help, nobody will really notice. But when you look healthy, you look alive, you look like you have a hop in your step. Those are things that are powerful. And that's what these products do. From the cardio care, the mind and vision, give you that clarity. There's incredible changes that come from using these products. And again, incredible changes that come from being successful with sharing it. I was talking with this guy while I was in Fiji, and he says, I cry at every dog commercial. And I thought that was hilarious because that's me too. I'm always 2 seconds from tearing up. But what we're doing for people, like my sister-in-law, Rosie, who's still at it. She's, what, 7 months past what the doctors said she would live. And this issue, the asbestos in the lung, it's still there. It's not going away. We got it to reduce in size. But all of the other stuff that was spreading and stuff is not. She's still on the products, taking them daily, sort of a pain in the rear every hour, taking the Cell Defender and the Zmunity. She's drinking about an ounce of silver every day. All of these things, which a little bit of money to it also, are really.
Could you back up on that and just go fill that in a little bit on your sister-in-law?
Yeah, my sister-in-law, okay, I'll start at the beginning. 2 years and 3 months ago, she let the family know that she had something called mesothelioma, which is a terminal cancer of the lung. As it causes damage, it just grows in the lung, causing fibrosis, and then eventually you can't breathe and you die. I got her on Cell Defender for about a week, and doctors told her, you can't take that stuff, it'll harm you. Which is so ridiculous. And so I said, okay, I backed away on it, let her do the doctor thing. She goes through the doctors, does standard of care with them, and they're telling her I found so interesting. They told her how amazing they were. They spent a whole day showing all of their awards and accolades and everything of how amazing their doctor's team was. They sell themselves really big. She goes, does all the care, loses her hair, gains a bunch of weight, just goes through all the chemo and the radiation. And then 18 months later, they send her home to die. She can't walk, issues with bowels, awful pain. And so she comes over to say goodbye to my wife and her other sister. And I'm still fuming pissed that she didn't use our products. And she's sitting across the table and she makes this comment, I just want to live. And so I pipe up and say, do you really want to live? And she says, yes, I do. I want to live. I want to see my son get married. I want to go to Disneyland. I want to all do all these things. And I said, then start taking our products. And she then basically said, well, what do I need to do? 'Cause at first she said, well, the doctors won't. I said, doctors given up on you. They've released you. You're free to go. They said, go home and die. And so she started taking the products. I wrote on the bottles, everything. I handed her some products. And she went home, started taking them. And 2 weeks later, she's walking. She's got control of her bowels again. A month and 2 weeks, she goes in for a PET scan. And they're shocked. Everything's shrank. The stuff, it had gone to her liver, her spleen, her pancreas, her ribs, her blood, and her bone marrow. It had spread everywhere, this same stuff. And she, in this PET scan, it showed that it was gone it's no longer in the liver, it's no longer in the spleen, it's no longer in the pancreas, and it was only in 2 of the 5 lymph nodes, and it had shrank in the lung. So she's taking, again, 5 products. Now, as she's getting better, she goes to the wedding. She dances with her son at the wedding. She's not in a walker. It was pretty amazing. She goes to Disneyland a month later, travels for 13 hours, drive Disneyland, and then walks around and, rides around in a wheelchair and stuff around the park, but's able to go on the rides and do things that she would already have been gone with the medical standard. And so, by the way, and they're telling her, what are you doing? You better not be doing something else. They're screaming at her because she's getting better and she won't tell them anything. She wouldn't share anything. So the next PET scan, it's even better. and they don't see anything anywhere. It's gotten smaller. And so the only negative at that time is she has a lot more pain because these new healthy cells that are growing in place are triggered with pain. So I have her on the plus relief and very high dose. So she's going through a couple of the pumps a month, lathering her whole body with the plus relief for pain. And then she's going through 10 or so of the plus relief oral sprays just to keep it bearable. So knock it down to 2 or 3. And she's doing well. She's still doing some of the doctor stuff to appease them. So she does a radiation once in a while. And by the way, a tumor showed up where the radiation was. So it just makes no sense. Hey, you're doing so well that you can walk again and we need to get you back on chemo. What was interesting is her husband, Luis, said to me, I got to show you something. And he's a pretty quiet guy. And he said, look at this paperwork. On the paperwork, it says everyone dies by 24 months with mesothelioma. Everyone. There's nobody around longer than that with this disease. It's expected. There was never any expectation that she was going to survive more than 24 months. And she was passing away at 18 months. Why would you take those 2 years of somebody's life and put them through all of this medicine, knowing that no one out of thousands and thousands ever make it? She's the only person, and she's now 3 months past that. She's extended that now to 20, almost 28 months. Yet it's not expected. And they want to get her on more chemo and more radiation. It's like if you're a runner and I'm selling water, and you've already had some water, but here's some more water, and I'm running along with you to sell you some more water to get you. It's all about me selling water. It's not about helping you hydrate. It's not about me serving you in any way. It's just about me selling more water. And that's what I see the standard of care is. It's just, how do I sell you more of what I have? It's not whether you're going to live any longer. It's not anything. And right below that line, this is in their paperwork he had read through, it said, even though there's no expectation to live more than 24 months, it helps us generate funds to pay for the doctors, pay for scientific research, pay for these other things. So they admit there's no expectation you're going to survive it. That's not even a question. You're not going to survive it. But the expectation is that you're going to help us fund more research. You're going to keep the doctors and nurses and the hospitals in flush with cash while they keep looking for an answer, while they ignore the answers that we're presenting. And so that to me is such a travesty. And that's why more and more people are looking to alternative. The percentage of people becoming alternative doctors, functional practitioners is huge. And this is another thing. You don't have to be a networker to be successful in this. If you're a doctor, this is what I love so much about Dr. Ramsey and those that are functional practitioners, they don't want to network. They're not interested in being a networker and going out and talking to people and selling. They want to do their business. They want to help people. They've learned this information. Hey, use this product, do this. Let me walk you through these processes to get better. We have products that fit into that, and they can share them with their patients. Their patient can sign up as a customer, retail customer, get a 30-day money back, and have the products that they can use to help their bodies heal itself. They can also they could sign up as a wholesale buyer / distributor because there's no monthly requirement. There's no auto ship requirement. There's no requirements to be a distributor. You have a lifetime wholesale opportunity. And so they can sign them up that come to the office as part of a program. Hey, we need to have you on these products to help your body detox, remove these burdens off your liver so your body can fix itself. And so it's the perfect set of products designed by a biochemist, just like all the medicines out there, designed by biochemists that can help that practitioner help his patients. help those that come to him, his clients, for their effort, and create a secondary income that's leveraged that allows them to make money over a long period of time that's not just an hourly based on people that come to their office, but you might have a client who has a sibling that's a network marketer that goes out and builds a network marketing organization or gets into another doctor's firm. And then from there, it goes on and on. So you talked about this duplicative or ability to leverage other people's efforts, but even more so in a duplication process where you can duplicate the leverage from one office to another, to another, to another. And we have that through this platform of network marketing with almost none of the network marketing problems because we've taken those gotchas out of the comp plan. We've taken the gotchas. You don't have to be on an auto ship. You don't have to be these things. Now, the auto ship, we incentivize. Hey, we'll give you 20 cents worth of free product for every dollar you do on an auto ship. Well, what do I have to do? Just go into the auto ship, set it up to run it the next time it's running. It's only the first 10 days of the month. Let it run and make all this extra free product. Everybody will do that if they know about it. So it's an auto ship of benefit rather than an auto ship of force. And so because we have it set up that way, that's for people to make the decision whether they want to do it or not, is amazing. In fact, we handle the products from the rawest, purest, high quality, non-GMO ingredient all the way through shipping it to you. That complete vertical manufacturing ability is insane. We're rare. You won't find companies that do that just because it's too much of investment. But we put our investment into Rick and his ability to manufacture these products. And we
Really
do our
exciting
own
stuff. Hey,
3PL.
can I go back to your sister-in-law? So this is amazing stuff. And in my mind, I'm thinking, as an example, let's say you break your arm, you go to the doctor. The doctor does not cure that arm, but what he does is he puts a cast on, gets the bone aligned back, essentially puts the body in the proper environment where the bones are together and everything, so the body can heal itself. And if you look at that, I think that's exactly how the Aveni products work. We do not prescribe, cure, heal, none of that. This is not treatment. What it is just giving the body the things it needs. It puts it in an ideal environment. If your environment is full of toxins and bad stuff, cells are not going to be able to operate properly. If you got the silver and you can, pathogens don't like this stuff. That's it's just we got really stuff that just helps the body be in an optimum need. And so we're not doctors, we're not prescribing, certainly not treatment, and this is not approved for disease or whatever. But boy, as Rick so well says, a healthy, clean body fixes itself. I just wanted to throw that in. But also,
I
before we
agree.
finish up, thank you for helping get this started and just the amazing running all over, sleeping in your car pretty much, just all the time doing meetings, which is really probably not sustainable forever and ever. But we got all started, and you started out corporate. But actually, you started out as a distributor in some of those other companies. And I've always thought, oh, Doug, I'm glad you're doing it because I sure wouldn't want to. It's so much more fun being a distributor without the corporate pressure or anything. But what do you think? What's the best position to be in Aveni? And tell us a little bit about your continuing journey.
Yeah, this is definitely the best place to be as a distributor. I loved helping make decisions. You know, Neil, we had a rule up front. Neil made all the final decisions as the CEO, but it was nice to suggest things and be able to mention, hey, we should do this or this. The most important part was to have a successful company that we knew would be solid. I knew from the beginning this was what we need to do. Rick and Neil were like, this is Doug's money. This is Doug's. They went along with it, but they didn't know if it was really going to happen because we were underfunded. Thank goodness for a lot of people. I brought a few people in that had some money, and that helped us get going. But Neil's perseverance and get it done attitude and no to everything really, really helped do it on a very short budget. And he saw the big picture also. Neil saw the big picture. But it was one of those things that 3 years of traveling 22, 23 days a month, which was necessary. had to go out and till the hard ground and plant seeds. And so we are where we are because of that. Mickey made a comment. Mickey Dillon said, I've never seen anything where every person I talk to mentions your name as coming and helping build their organization. And I love that I was able to contribute to so many distributors' downlines and to be the one to shake the hands and talk to people. But 3 years of that was bending my relations at home a little bit. So I needed to start being home. And you actually said, why don't you just become a distributor? It's a lot more freedom. And that was kind of the beginning of that. And I think that it's way more fun being a distributor than it is in corporate. But the pressure on corporate to get it, you make a decision that's bad, you can kill everything. And so a lot of it was, prayerful decision making and hard work. It wasn't going to end because of my efforts. I was going to pour everything I had into it, and I did that. So 3 years was enough for corporate. In the last 25 years, I've only worked for somebody else for 3 years. So that was pretty cool. But I love Avini. I love what we're doing. I'm much more into the product side than I am into. It's really a product with a company to bring along. A lot of people, it's a company with a product to bring along. I just think without the product and the message, and you make this point that we're not prescribing anything. This doesn't necessarily mean it'll happen with you if since it happened to me, but we need a change. RFK is in for a reason. He's trying to clean up the environment. I can't wait till I can't see these stripes across the sky. I'm really excited about. I own a fertilizer company, and I'm also working on ways to clean up the water and clean up the soil, and working along with Rick on some technologies to be able to introduce that to the market to clean up lakes and rivers and streams. We are so grateful that we can take Cell Defender and clean up our body and stop the body from getting sick from these things. But from the environment, we got to really do a ton to make it so not everything's trying to harm us. So,
Oh, but what a good time to be in this. And Mickey, I'm really excited about that. Let's see, Mickey, Neil, and Rick, they've been friends for close to
30
30
years.
years. So we know they get along, they like each other, they play well together, and they're just so complementary in
Mhm.
what they bring to this. And so it's just perfect. And we got you where I think you're going to play best. And oh my goodness. And all of us, the newest distributor, or if you've been in a while, you can start all over again. You can say, you know what, by golly, I want to have a big piece of this in the future. And we're doing a little over 1 million a month right now. And think about where we might be in 5 years. It's going to be really big. Would you like to have a big piece of that? Well, you can if you grow with it. Why not have a big part of the future growth be part of your organization? So get in and hustle. This is a good time to run as fast as you can, and you'll be glad you did. So, any final thoughts, Doug?
Yes, as my wonderful friend Dave Johnson always says, if you don't know where to start, throw a rock up in the air and start where it lands. I love that. I use that all the time. And it's just get started, start talking to people. Another important thing, reach up to the person that brought you in. How do I get started? What do I do? Just make a decision. It's absolutely worth your every effort in Avini.
All right, let's go do this. Love you.
Thanks. Love you too.
Thanks.